Hey guys, welcome to another speed build. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Today we are over in The Sims 4 and I am building a base game only family home for a pretty large family. I ended up furnishing this for a total of 8 Sims. I seen there was a brand new Makers release that was free for everyone at the moment, so definitely go grab it. As soon as you enter the game, they will send you a little pop-up that will lead you to those free Makers items. One set is a Create a Sim set, and I believe it's just like shoes or something. I haven't really checked those out yet. But the other set is a build buy set, and it isn't anything too big, but it was a couch set for a living room. So it came with a 3-seater sofa and a love seat. So if you guys are returning to my channel, then you know how I always complain about not having enough couch sets in the game, especially base game. And so when I seen those come out, I was so excited. I had to get in game like right away and do a build just for those couches. And so that's what this build is. It ended up turning out a lot larger than I had originally anticipated, but sometimes that's for the best. I do really love the way that this build came out. Of course, I hope you guys enjoy it as well, and if you do, please do not forget to leave a like and also subscribe if you have not already, and share this video with your friends if they are Simmers as well, and if you think that they would enjoy it. Also, don't forget to leave any comments down below. You could leave what your favorite part of today's build is, or maybe if you have any building requests, you can leave those as well, and I am thinking about starting my building series once again, where I build my subscribers' requests. So if you do have any requests, feel free to leave them, and like I said, I will try my best to get to them. So the inspiration for the front of this build came from a picture I seen on Pinterest. That's where I get a lot of my inspiration from, and I will do the front based on that photo as best as I can, and then the rest of the build I will pretty much just think of on my own. Like, I base it off the front and what I think the back would look like based off the front and the inside and everything, you know. I don't really base the landscaping off these photos just because landscaping in The Sims is a little bit different than it is in like real life for real life houses. And those are mainly the photos I see on Pinterest are like real houses. So sometimes I like to do more realistic landscaping, but it just looks different in The Sims than it does in real life, you know? So it's kind of harder to do realistic landscaping in The Sims and actually make it look right and not too boring, because a lot of like real life landscaping is meticulously placed, and how I do my landscaping in The Sims is definitely not that. And I like to do it kind of wherever it looks good, and I really like the overgrown look in The Sims. So that is what this house has. I also ended up putting a really large lake in the back of this house. This is a 40 by 30 lot in Willow Creek, and since we have only base game, I only had limited options to fill this lot up, and I didn't want to leave it too blank. I do really appreciate having a large yard with a lot of grass and it's not taking up too much. But by the time I put the pool in, it was like way too much. Just green grass, and it just looked a little bit boring. So I ended up putting a large pond out there, and I actually put a little placeholder pond back there in just a moment before I start the floor plan on the inside. That's just what I like to do as I build. If I think of something that I know I want to do, then I will place hold something there so I don't forget about it, because I have definitely been known to forget about things as I'm building, because the building process is kind of long, you know, and so of course things are bound to slip your mind. And this is not the pond that I was talking about. I did start off adding just a little one here in this little grassy area, and I was gonna have like a walkway going past it leading to the backyard, but I then decided it would make a lot more sense and look a lot better if I just put a super large one in the back right corner, which is what I am doing now. And way at the end of the build, I actually add a little gazebo over the lake in the backyard, which I think looks really nice. And I have done that before. I just think it adds such a cute touch. I absolutely love over water gazebos like over a lake in real life. I just think it is so cute and it seems to be so relaxing to sit out there. Luckily in The Sims, you don't have to worry about mosquitoes like you do in real life, so that is definitely nice. But nonetheless, I added a gazebo out there, and I was gonna put a picnic table out there, but we already have a little sitting area over by the pool, and so I really felt like we didn't need another one on the gazebo. What I ended up doing instead was just putting a chess table out there, which I know is a little boring, don't get me wrong, but at least it's a functional space. You can actually go out there and your Sims can do something and they can actually work on their logic skill and not just sit out there for nothing, you know? And I actually forgot to add a little fishing sign so your Sims could fish here. So if you do download this, you will have to add that fishing sign so your Sims can fish here. I did add a little log that the turtles can like jump up on, which I think is so adorable. I love those logs as like a little addition to the lake. I just think it is so adorable. I also forgot to add some of those creature spawning things where you can add like geese or ducks in the pond and dragonflies. I love to add those. I think it adds a really nice realistic touch to your build. I cannot believe that I forgot to add them, but I did. So if you download this, if you want that sort of like realistic aspect, you will have to add those yourself too. But at least you can then find a place that you want to put it and put it. You know, you can really customize it yourself. So I am working on the pool area. I'm definitely not done with it. It ends up changing a little bit from here, but I just wanted to get the main part of the pool down to see what I wanted to achieve by the end of the build, if that makes sense. So I ended up sectioning off the pool area with a fence, which I know doesn't always look the best, but I was thinking, you know, they don't have to worry about alligators. Because I'm pretty sure Willow Creek is based in New Orleans, which that's just like Florida. It is filled with alligators. And so if you have any body of water, like a lake, you definitely have to worry about that. So with the pool right next to it, it just makes sense to have a fence around it, even though I recently learned that gators can in fact climb fences, so that's pretty interesting. But that is the reason why I added that fence. I kind of like that realistic touch of having a fence there. And then if you have kids playing in the yard and you really don't feel like watching them, they won't fall in the pool water. But like I said, there is a giant lake there, so I guess you still gotta worry about something. I really just put it there mainly for like that little bit of an alligator story, you know? So we are now starting inside on the floor plan, and I have such a big area in this house that I knew I wanted to have a really nice open foyer way when you first walk in. And so I put a double staircase there with railing on just one side. I love that update. It just makes it look so much better on the wall that the staircase is leaning against. And not having a railing flipping through the wall, it just makes it so much nicer. But I put the staircase down, and then on the second story, I just put the fence all around the area that I knew I was going to want to remove the floor on, and then I removed the floor. It's really not hard at all, it's very simple, and I just think it looks so nice when you have a really big open entryway like this. And then I added a couple of lights, which unfortunately for some reason, this doesn't always happen, but sometimes it does. So when I added the lights on the second story, it created this really weird, funky shadow on the first story. And I did a couple of different things. You guys probably seen me struggling when I first put the lights in, but I had to play around with it a little bit. I tried to put like lighting in the walls to try to remove the shadow. I tried to turn the lights off completely, which of course that removed the shadow, but then it just didn't look right. And then I tried to dim the light and nothing was working. So finally, I decided to dim the lights just a tad little bit so that I can add a couple of wall lights leading up the staircase. And then I put pictures in between the wall lights to make it look like purposely done and not like I'm just trying to remove shadows. And that seemed to work the best. There's still a little bit of a shadow there, but definitely not as bad as it was in the very beginning. So I was definitely happy about that. I was almost just going to give up and leave the shadow there, but it was just annoying me so bad that I could not leave it alone. And I'm glad that I didn't, because I actually think adding the lights on the wall with the pictures in between it like I did was actually a really nice decoration too, so definitely not mad about it. So I ended up cutting out a little bit of the floor plan just because I was doing a lot of trial and error, and this is such a long video as it is that I figured it doesn't matter. I think you guys would much rather see me furnish the actual house rather than play around with the floor plan like I was doing. So just a little bit. I do end up keeping the top story, I believe. So you'll see the floor plan done on that one, but not down here. It's pretty self-explanatory though. You first walk in, you have that really big entryway, and I ended up adding tile right when you first walk in. Some houses have that, and I just think it's super cute, and I really love the difference between the tile and the wood floor when you step up that little platform, and so I thought it was just a really fun touch. Then you lead to the really big dining room that's there, which leads to the living room, then the kitchen, and there is a bathroom just off of the kitchen, and there's also another room that I really had no idea what to do with until I finally decided to make it into a sort of bar sitting room area, which I thought was a really, really good idea, especially for a base game house. There's not a lot of stuff to choose from as far as base game goes, but there are bars in the base game, so I thought it was definitely a good idea. Maybe one of the Sims is a bartender that lives here or a mixologist and they really enjoy making drinks. It would be great for parties. Or maybe it's just parents after a long day of work and taking care of the kids, they need to wind down after a long day, and so they both hang out in there and make each other drinks. I don't know, I just thought it was a good touch. And then on the other side of the house, we have the garage that I just make a little at-home gym in, and then we have one of the mini bedrooms right next to it. So this house ended up having 5 bedrooms and like 3 bathrooms, I believe, which doesn't sound like a lot because it's such a large house, but I made all of the bedrooms pretty good size. There's not really any small room in this house, and the bathrooms are also pretty good size. Like that bathroom right off the kitchen is absolutely huge. It's the biggest one in the house, but I really love the way that I do that bathroom, so I'm excited for you guys to see it. But here are the new couches that are free to download right now. I think you only have until the very beginning of July to get these, so definitely make sure you get into your game and get them before they're not available. And like I said, there's some shoes you can get as well. But I absolutely love these couches. When I seen them first pop up when I first entered the game the other day, I was so happy to see them, and it's a matching set. I absolutely love the love seats, how it has a little throw blanket on the like sitting part of the couch, and then of course there's pillows, so I don't have to freely place the pillows. I absolutely love that. And then the 3-seater sofa just has a bunch of pillows like on the back of it. The swatches, there's like every color you need, but they're a little bit bright. There's not any pastels, which I would have loved to have, but I guess beggars cannot be choosers. So at least we have a new couch set. There's also not a single sofa, like a chair, as part of the set. It's just the love seat and 3-seater sofa, which is fine. I don't have to have a chair. It's nice to have that little addition, but it's definitely not mandatory. It's not a must-have. So just having those two was like super nice to have, and I was so happy when I seen them. Let me know down below how you guys feel about the brand new couches. Do you like them? Are you a fan, or do you not like them? I'm curious. I, for one, like I said, I like them. I just wish the swatches were a little bit more versatile and have some pastels in there, but they're good nonetheless. And I can definitely see myself using them a lot, especially in the next few builds before I get it out of my system. So get ready, guys. Hopefully you guys like them. But we are working on the bathroom now that I was just talking about, and it was such a large area that I could really play around with it. And I have never made a bathroom quite like this one before, so it was super fun to do, and I thought it came out super interesting and super cute. And I was actually able to use one of these large garden tubs. I don't always get to use these because my bathrooms don't ever come out this large. I always feel like a large bathroom is hard to do, but now that I did this one, it was really fun, and I might start doing bigger bathrooms more often. But yeah, so you have the little area when you first walk in. There's a toilet and the sink with like the mirror and towel and all of that, you know, the sink, you can wash your hands, whatever. And then you go up the platform and there is the garden tub, and then there's a little like room for the shower. So I originally started making the shower like I do when I have like Discovery University installed, and when I have those single placeable showers to like place around. I then realized, oh, it is only base game, so I don't have any of those showers. I tried to add just a regular base game shower with like glass walls around it, how I usually do the other ones, where it has like the whole spaces open. I put a shower curtain there, and it did not look right at all. You guys probably seen it. So I decided to do something a little bit different, but with the same sort of vibe. And so it's still a little shower room, but I have a wall over the shower part, so you can't really see the glass unless you walk in that area. And then the other part is open. I put a spandrel there with a couple of columns, and then a little like curtain to look like a shower curtain. And I thought it came out pretty interesting and pretty cute. Hopefully you guys like it as well. And that really is about it for that bathroom, but I do think it turned out really good. We are working on the kitchen now, and the layout of this kitchen was a little tricky to figure out at first. As soon as I did the floor plan, I knew that where I wanted to have the dining table and where I wanted to have the living room made it to where it was hard to figure out where to put the kitchen. So I ended up making it work though. That's why that bathroom turned out larger than anticipated, because I had to make that a little bit larger to make the kitchen a little smaller so that it was easier to design the kitchen. So we have the island in the center that I ended up just putting a bowl of fruit on. It's pretty simple. And then we have like a corner set on one side, and the other side we have some counters and then the fridge, and then some of those really tall cabinets. And I do think that as hard as it was to figure out, it did turn out really good though, and it seems very functional to be able to play in there. I was able to obviously add like the sink, oven, and fridge, but I also added a microwave as well as a coffee maker, and next to the sink I also added that little like drink platter where you can make hot cocoa. I thought that was a really nice touch. And then just some decorations, try to make it look cute, and that's pretty much it as far as the kitchen goes. Before we move on, I do just want to say one thing about the living room that I forgot to mention. I had a little bit of a hard time figuring out how to place like the couches and have a fireplace and a TV as well. So I ended up placing a 3-tile wide wall to cut off like a hallway in the living room, and it left a really small area for your Sims to be able to walk. That does work, and I wasn't sure how I felt about it at first, but I do think it looks really nice, and it made it to where I was actually able to fit a fireplace and TV in there, plus have those couches. So I just wanted to point out that that area does work, and I do think it turned out pretty nice. I know it's different. I know it's kind of like, it looks a little bit squeezed, but yeah, I do think it looks pretty nice. We are now working upstairs, and I did all of the bedrooms upstairs. So like I said earlier, all of the bedrooms upstairs turned out pretty large. So when you first walk up, you have a hallway that leads to the master bedroom, and the master actually has like the private balcony in the back and also has its own bathroom. You have to walk through the quote unquote hallway slash office that I have in the master bedroom to get to the bathroom, but I figured that's fine. And then I have one of the teens room. There's actually two teens. One teen is in this room right here. I furnished it for like a teen girl. And then the one upstairs, the biggest bedroom upstairs, other than the master, I furnished that for a teen boy. And then I have another room that is for twin children. And then the last room, I put twin infants in there. And all of the rooms turn out pretty cute for being base game. I do really like the way this room turned out. I think it turned out super cute. I put the bed area up on a platform, and then I have a little bit of a staircase leading up to the platform area. Down here, when you first walk in, I do end up putting a computer desk as well as a dresser up against that wall as well. And then up the stairs, there's the bed, of course, and then I end up putting a mirror with a couple of guitars. I struggled with different activities to put in this room and what kind of personality to give this sim. At the end of the day, I figured this sim was really into playing music, maybe even doing some art on like the easel as well, but I don't have an easel in here. It would be a nice addition. I tried to place it up where the bed area was instead of adding a mirror like I did here, but it clipped with the ceiling, so I decided against that. I probably should have added it somewhere in the house though. Having the easel is always a nice addition for like a skill building item, but I forgot to do that, so maybe that's something you guys would want to do. But I did add a couple of guitars with a mirror up there, so maybe the Sims like really into playing music, and so I tried to portray that in the room itself by putting a lot of posters everywhere, and I have like the fairy lights from that holiday kit, which is free, so it's basically base game. I use it when I build base game all the time. And I also have a corkboard next to the computer desk area, and I mean that's really honestly about it. It's pretty self-explanatory. That bedspread is one of my favorites in base game, by the way. Honestly, I would even go as far to say that it's one of my favorites in the game in general. I absolutely love the blue and the green like viney look it has, and I just think it's so cute. Blue and green goes good together anyways, and so yeah, I just wanted to point that out. I did do the garage super quickly. Like I said earlier, it's just like an at-home gym area, and I also added a woodworking bench in there as well, and that's really it. There's nothing else to say about the garage. We are now starting on the parents' master bedroom, and this master bedroom just turns out kind of bland. I don't add much in here. I just do like the necessities basically, and over here on the dresser I added some men's skincare items as well as like some perfume for a woman. I did like a his and her sort of thing. I feel like that's kind of realistic. And in the main part of the bedroom, I have the bed, obviously the dresser, a couple of nightstands, a TV. That's really honestly about it. I did the very, very minimum in there for some reason. I just couldn't think of a whole lot to put in there. And I do add a picture on the wall to have some sort of decoration, and then obviously that big plant next to the dresser. With base game, there's really just not a lot to choose from. And then you have that little hallway when you walk through the archway that leads to the balcony outside, and I put a computer desk in there. It also leads to the master bathroom, and I have a shower tub combo in here, a toilet, and a sink, and that's really about it for the bathroom as well. I don't do a whole lot in here. I will add some decorations. I always add a soap dish and the toothbrush holder in like all of my bathrooms, unless it's a half bath. If it's just a toilet and a sink, I don't typically add the toothbrush holder because I feel like that's not as realistic as having it in like a full bath that has the shower too, you know? And super quick, I am doing this last bathroom where most of the kids probably share this one, and then a couple of them share the one downstairs. And this one is pretty much exactly like the master, it's just a little bit smaller, but it has all of the same stuff in here. And then I put a couple of robes on the wall too. Maybe those belong to the twin children or the older brother and one of the younger ones. Who knows? I just put two in there. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention, was the fact that I actually added an attic in this house. So I did not decorate the attic just because I didn't want to be totally honest, but I did add a little like closet space where you could go up the stairs to reach the attic. So if you end up downloading this on the gallery, then you will be able to decorate the attic however you want to. If you have some of the other packs installed, like City Living, I think has that super big old school like video game system where like 4 different Sims can play on it. I'm pretty sure that's City Living or it's Get Together. I can't remember which one it is. Or like Discovery University that has the ping pong table. If you have any pack installed that has like super fun things your Sims can like play or do, I would suggest making that into like a really fun hangout space for your Sims, like particularly maybe the teenage Sims or like the teen and the kids. And that's personally what I would do if I had other packs installed. I probably would have done that, but with base game there's really nothing else to do up there, so I left it blank. Totally up to you guys to decorate if you want to. If not, if you don't want that attic space, then you can just remove the walls, the door, and the ladder and pretend that it does not exist. But I went ahead and I have the kids' room done. I figured those kids were twins, and I chose a bunk bed that has like the loft bed on top and then like the bed on the bottom, obviously. And I wanted them to have 2 different swatches, and so I chose the one on the bottom to have like little lightning strikes throughout it. I thought it was super cute, but they're both blue. Like they both have matching colors, but they're different at the same time. I really enjoy doing that with the bunk beds if I can. As long as the railing on the bunk beds are the same, then I like to do it. Something about having like different color railings kind of doesn't work for me. Like there's something about it that I don't like. I might do it sometimes if I can get past it, but most of the time I won't do it. But as far as the skill building items go for the kids, I did a mental table, I did a creativity table, and I think that's it for the skill building items. Outside, I ended up adding some monkey bars, so they really should have everything they need to work on every single one of their skills. They can just talk to each other to work on their social skill. And so yeah, this is the infant's nursery, which I think turned out super cute for what I had to work with. We have a tall dresser, which may or may not make sense for an infant, but nonetheless they have one. And then we have 2 cribs in here. That is why I did 2 high chairs downstairs by the dining table. And then I have 2 of the little like grabby mat, play mat sort of things. And just very pink and colorful, and I think it turned out so cute. I added a couple of blocks in here for them. I was not able to fit like a toy box, but I figured that was fine. They really don't have to have one. They have the blocks there. They can play with their grabby mat, they can play with their parents, they can play with each other. There's plenty of things they can do to work on their fun need that they really didn't need the toy box. So we are now working on the other teen's room, and I end up putting a computer desk in this one as well. And I also add a dresser with a TV above it, and on the dresser I add a gaming system. And so I figured this teen was really into like video gaming, and that's how they spend a lot of their time. And I know you are not able to play the gaming system while sitting in bed, unfortunately. You can watch TV while sitting or relaxing on the bed, but you cannot play games while sitting or relaxing, which I really wish you could. I feel like that's pretty realistic, but you can't. So I end up adding this little like blow up chair, and I have it on a catty corner. Obviously, if this was real life, you would barely be able to see the TV, but in The Sims, I feel like it's fine. Your Sim will be able to do what they need to do. Whether they can really see or not, that's their business, not ours. But I absolutely love those little blow-up couches. They came with the like Y2K quest sort of thing where you traveled with like the time traveler and stuff. I'm pretty sure it came from that quest. I've used the chair a couple of times since it's come out. Definitely in teen's room, it definitely screams like teenager to me. A lot of teens back in the early 2000s would have blow up chairs or even beanbag chairs. And so, yeah, I love to add them in my teens' rooms here in The Sims. And I also love to have them in like college dorms or like super young adult Sims, have them in their room if it fits like their aesthetic, maybe if they're gamers or something. It's just super fun to use. They have a lot of fun colors. I don't use a lot of the colors. I think I mainly use the gray one like I used here, but they do come with lots of different colors and they are fun, like I said, but very, very vibrant. Which I do love really bright colors, don't get me wrong, they just don't fit a lot of the builds that I do. But we are officially done with the inside of the house and we are now finishing up the exterior. So I ended up changing the little fenced area in the back. Instead of having that see-through like picket fence looking fence, I ended up changing it to a concrete fence. I thought it looked a lot better, and there was not a gate that matched that little concrete fence, and so I ended up just leaving a little gap open. And I also added some landscaping around the pool just to dress it up a little bit, and I also have a little hot tub. The only hot tub you will find in base game. I ended up grabbing that and placing it out here in the back by the pool, and I wanted to do something a little bit cool and a little bit different, and so I ended up adding a little like platform area with some lounge chairs on top. And I have it up on like 2 levels of the platform, and on both sides I have a single level platform as a sort of step up to get to the top. I don't know, I just wanted to be different. That's literally the only reason why I did that, but I do think it turned out pretty good. And I also added a couple of fountains in the pool just to make it look a little bit more fancy, since we don't have pool floaties or diving boards or water slides in the base game. I had to resort to something to kind of dress it up, and so I put some fountains. You can still swim in there, so don't worry about that. Your Sims won't really they'll swim under the fountain, but they don't do it purposely. It just kind of happens. But yeah, I do think it looks pretty good like that. And you've probably seen I put a transition and there was a lake in the back, and then it ended up changing to a little bit of a playground area. I was indecisive as I was building, and then I finally just decided to put a lake and leave the lake. I think it looked a lot better, and the pirate ship playground, you know, it's fine, don't get me wrong, but I just wanted a lake area instead. I thought it just looked better. And then I was able to add this little gazebo area like I'm doing here, and I have like a little pier where you walk down the pier to get to the gazebo, and it just turns out super cute. The only thing is that it is very tall, and that is because the house itself on the bottom story, I have the double tall wall height, and then I use platforms to make it not look as tall, if that makes sense. So I was then stuck with the double tall wall height with the gazebo, but it's fine. I was able to make it work. I ended up adding one of those super thick trims, the wall trim at the top, the thick kind. I added it at the top of the gazebo, so it made it look a little bit shorter. It was better than nothing, I guess, but I do think the gazebo turned out really cute nonetheless. And here I am just decorating the lake a little bit. I would have definitely loved to add the fishing sign so your Sims could actually fish here, but I did forget. Definitely add that if you're interested in making your Sims fish there. That's like another skill building item, so why wouldn't you want that? But I did add the log so that you can have the cute little turtle swim up and hang out and sunbathe on the log, and a lot of cute like floral lily pads all around. And that's really basically it for the lake. I do add a lot more landscaping all around just to make it look a little bit better and make it blend in a little bit better, as well as adding terrain paint. Obviously, terrain paint helps a lot with making it blend in. And as far as the lake water itself, I love that swatch that I used here where it has like all the leaves in the pond or the lake. I just think it looks so pretty that way. And I did add monkey bars, but it's in the front area, which I know is interesting, but that was like the best place I could find to put it. It's better than nothing. And I have a little gravel like sidewalk path sort of thing leading from the driveway in the front yard all the way to the backyard. I have it heading towards the gazebo as well, and I believe I end up adding another gate on the right side to lead to that other pathway just off the lot. I can't quite remember, but I do think I end up doing that. And then I have the pathway leading towards the side of the lake, and it leads to the pool area, and it also leads to the back where there's a lot of different garden pots and like planter boxes, and it's like a little gardening area. It's not in the fence, it's out of the fence. It was the best place I could find to put it. I thought it looked better that way than having it here in the backyard. I really love how the backyard turned out with having a lot of really beautiful landscaping all around and having like a big pond slash lake and all the landscaping around the lake. It just turned out so pretty with the gazebo, and then obviously you have the pool area that turned out super nice, and you have a hot tub, which I love that hot tub. I know the hot tub was very controversial when it first came out. There was a lot of disappointed people because that's what we got for like the 25th anniversary for The Sims. So I get it. I definitely wanted more than just a hot tub. But it is a nice hot tub nonetheless. Like, we have to be honest, it is a really nice hot tub. I love how it has fairy lights at the very top of it. It just looks super cute, especially for base game. Which that was another thing that people didn't like, was that we had a hot tub in base game now, even though there was a stuff pack where that was like the main feature of the stuff pack, I guess. But for perfect patio stuff, there was more than just the hot tub, and at that point it had been years that it was out, so it really didn't bother me any. The main thing that I was upset about was just the fact that it was like the 25-year anniversary of The Sims, and that's what we got. But like I said, it is a nice hot tub. You can't tell me otherwise. But at this point, for the rest of the video, I'm just adding some last minute landscaping, and then other than that, I am just doing some terrain paint. So at this point, I am going to leave you guys to enjoy the rest of the video on your own. I really hope you enjoyed today's speed build. Of course, if you did, please don't forget to leave a like and also subscribe if you have not already, and share this video with your friends if they are Simmers as well. Don't forget to leave your favorite part of today's build down in the comments below. This is available up on the gallery if you are interested in downloading it. My gallery ID is linked down in the description box below and on my main profile. I hope you all have an amazing day or night wherever you are. Enjoy the screenshots, and I will see you all in the next one very soon. Bye guys!